Trying to make it lighter. Maybe a little bit more over this way because there's more light. Yeah, it's better. Just that little bit of a turn. Anyway, I'm gonna get a haircut today, I think. I'm Alan, and again, Havana syndrome sufferer. For people who've never heard it, well, Havana syndrome was in the news for like from 2015 to even 23, 24, there was 60 Minutes. And hi, Katie. Thank you. And I just started it, so, and I'm sure the Fusion Center is watching. I'm really hoping that, I'm excited. I would have been a Bernie Sanders person in 2016, but I saw what the Dems did to him. They made up a scenario, made the other people drop out. They made the other people drop out so they could make up a scenario story for Super Tuesday. And suddenly, a miracle of miracles, suddenly there's enough of a PR, whether it's believable or not. People already admitted this is what happened, so it's not a big shock now. We don't choose our elections, and these powerful people in the federal government sometimes can, and I wasn't an anti-government person, but sometimes they literally can look upon people, some people look upon ants or an insect, and literally put people in these as guinea pigs in the NIH, the DOD, DARPA, just to see what works on people. And when I was 14, I was playing football at Dallas High School in Oregon and broke my arm during a draw play. The running back comes through, and anyway, I tripped over the safety's feet, and then the tackle kept on, and I fell over. Two guys landed on top, and I broke my arm, separated my shoulder. And I broke my arm, and then they fixed it. They did a good job. But then within a few months, I was getting this zap in the side of my, what felt like your heart, over here. And what I mean by up here, I mean literally, I don't know if they can see it. It's literally an area right here. And it even affects this red area right here, but it's really right up here. And for 40 years now, I'm 53, going to be 54. And I went 30 years not knowing, just literally praying every night. Just fix it, Lord. Just, what is it? And it wasn't until I almost died because of this program, the little psycho behaviors and gang stalking. People wouldn't believe that it sounds so ridiculous. And every one of us who really are, there's a lot of federal people that pretend to be TIs, and maybe they are part of a program, but I don't think there's really nearly as much as, because this was in 2019 when I went to the Portland rally, and you would think that the numbers would just, because we've been kind of led to believe a lot of this nanotechnology was part of the COVID, nanotech, and it might, I don't know. That was a big fear. That the nanotech, this stuff with synthetic telepathy, it's kind of like what Elon Musk calls his Neuralink brain chip. It was a DARPA project before he was part of it. I think it was a DARPA and Neuralink. But it's like Stephen Hawking's monitor machine. It reads the brain and then puts it into real time, real words, and speaks it. Now we can say our minds can go a mile a minute. It's not going, eat ice cream, and then at the same time thinking of a movie you're thinking of, and I got to talk about this, thing I have to do for work. So his machine isn't going, machine, work, ice cream, she's got a nice, something. It seems to just say one sentence, but filter out the strongest or what we're trying of our will to say. But we can have different, multitask, but sometimes it's, we can still think of something. Anyway, synthetic telepathy is telepathy out of spiritual or psychic way. I've studied enough of that. But anyway, I'm not talking about that. This is a spiritual gift. That might be true too. That's for the parapsychologists and the New England Journal of Parapsychology and the London Parapsychologist and Psychic Research. But for people with this type of technology, and when you have it, it feels like it's spiritual too, and it definitely has emotional and spiritual elements to it. It lets you or makes you use your beliefs against yourself, and how you wrestle with these things. And it monitors the emotional reaction almost by degrees or so. I don't know. I don't know that I can't see what they're seeing, but anyway, there's tons of books. Like I said before, The Invisible Crime by Michael Bell, Target Individual Synthetic Telepathy and Global Criminal Biomedical Human Experimentation. True story. And when you don't have it, it's really hard to believe that our government would go this far. Even though we just got done with COVID and told not to do stuff, gain of function research, and done anyway, told not to. Nobody seems to be going to prison over it. It doesn't matter if it's Republican, Democrat, even when the stuff's been caught, the text messages have been found, the cover-up, the money payments, they almost seem to get rewarded for causing it. It's like those Palestinian protesters. I think we should hire some of them. At least they can protest and get mad about something. Here's another book, Gang Stalking and Mind Control, The Destruction of Society Through Community Spying by A.K. Forwood. The fake name to cover up, I'm sure, an alibi. A lot of the people in the program have fake names, or at least they don't want to give their real names because it's such a weird program. They don't want their real reputation hurt. Controlling the Human Mind by Dr. Nick Begich. The Technology's Political Controller, Peak Performance. His son just became, I believe, a House representative from Alaska. Nick Begich III, I believe. Anyway, it deals with Tesla technology, but this stuff really is, and it shows the patents to the technology. This stuff is real, and what they're talking about is this. It's like Tesla tech mixing with Tesla and Elon Musk using people. I mean, right now in Oregon, there's a lot of controversy about OHSU and Legacy Health using animals and monkeys as guinea pigs for torture. And their commercials like, it could be you next. And I'm saying it's already been me as a human being for the last, 40 years with directed energy implantable. 10 years with synthetic telepathy. But to people who don't know about it, it just sounds like crazy talk. What? They can read your mind, and that sounds like something from an 80s film of crazy people. They're in my tooth, the government's after me. And then you find out they really do this stuff. MK Ultra in the 50s and 60s, and it's finally revealed in the church committee in the 70s. Katie, are you one also? Another thing, when you go to, I'm very thankful for PAX and Targeted Justice and Icator and Frank Allen and Roy in London, Roy D. Acups, and Icator. There's just UTEC, and there's a bunch of them. We really don't know how many actual TIs, because once they start experimenting on people without their commission or permission, it's not like they are trying to get it out. So they have literally handlers that through voice to skull, and I don't know why it's called V2K, unless it's voice to kill, because it's normally negative talk psychologically to try to get you to take yourself out. And they get to see all the vital signs and brain signals and all the vitals, what makes you float, what makes you go around, what works on you, what doesn't. Your beliefs. Another book that gets some of the most talk about is Robert Duncan's Soul Catcher. He's got another one, How to Tame a Demon. The Mind Hacking Strategy Group Declassified, Volume 2, Cyber and Cybernetic Warfare Revealed. And again, 282, 2025 is when the Air Force claims they will release the information of the technologies and weapons described in this book. So that's what Robert Duncan is saying. This is 2025 now, March 2021. So that they're trying to manipulate people. I mean, I went 30 years just having a side pain, constant chronic side pain with once in a while a jab, a sharp electronic, that's what it felt like, a jab. And you go to your doctors, hoping the specialists, last thing you'd ever think is that it's a nice, conservative, religious town. I thought they were good people, no enemies. Never would have thought. I thought, well, it's just an operation that went bad after I broke my shoulder and arm. Never would have thought that they put me up to be experimented on by the government, ever. No enemies. Didn't do anything wrong to anybody. And for the most part, people didn't do wrong to me either. I thought they were pretty good people. And this is when they're chanting, "Drain the swamp." One of those towns. So, and then the first time I had to go when I was getting off of doctors stopped prescribing OxyContin for this, and I was thankful they did that. But it's just, you would think that they would not ever do that. Usually, when I was 14, by the way, not even 18. It's like the Tuskegee, although with President Trump and draining the swamp, they're doing all this Doge stuff, trying to take some of the corruption out of the deep state. And first it was, and with Pam Bondi, the AG, doing away with Epstein, releasing those files. And it's been a few weeks, and I haven't heard much lately about it. Yesterday, the Kennedy files, 80,000 papers, new papers. So hopefully there's some new stuff, but they're already on the liberal news sites trying to downplay, we're probably not going to be anything new. And on conservative sites, they're trying to say, no, there's some new stuff out there that people already knew there was more than one. But it really does show when it comes to news that you read and watch, and the authors of the books, you can instantly see not too many of them, they get paid to defend one viewpoint, not to be open or honest. They get paid by the deep state, and very few, but sometimes you'll find an honest person who will say, here's what I believe, but here's a problem with my viewpoint, and I admit it. You don't see that too many people. It's like there's a lot of people that don't like, that are liberals that don't like Trump, but then I would like to hear them say some of the good things that they agree that he does. But it's normally not that way. They won't say anything good about, once they're on a side, they just talk crap about the other person, and that's how they get their ratings. It's loving to, spreading that anger about the other. It's like a new religion. You always need a devil, someone to go against, a hate. And so if it's, even when Trump came, he was talking about the deep state, and that includes rhinos, people on the right that got us into just as much trouble, if not more, debt, and how they don't treat us as citizens as even people. They just think we're much less than lab rats, and they're not trying anything to stop it. We're saying, help us. If you're a kid, you hope you find an adult, you hope you find a sheriff, you hope you find a police, you hope you find a doctor, that'll help you. And then you find out they're getting paid for it. And you wonder in the past, how did they do this? Now with the age of the internet, where information gets, how do they get away before? I mean, the internet, people were closed mouths, but now they can just talk shit, talk whatever. Have platforms, and now it's just blunt corruption. If it's some doctors, if it's, I can hear them anyway. It's like using your brain, and I do not consent. That's a lot. I used to when I thought, well, when you die, science devote your life, your body to science to help somebody else. And I used to think so, but now I'm like, no. They're doing this to me while I'm alive. When I was 14, ever since then, I didn't know I was being used in that way as an experiment, intentionally, on purpose. And so I'm saying I don't want it. And yet I tell doctors and hospital, like, nope. They just act like you're not saying anything, like even though I never got in trouble, the only trouble I got on purpose. It was 2 months before the COVID in 2019. And in front of the city hall in Dallas and Salem, I wrote in chalk, quit targeting and experimenting on people. Which that's the targeted individual Havana syndrome with directed DEWs. That's what they were talking about. All these news reports about DEWs and directed energy weapons and the Havana report. It's about this experimental program about using people, again, like all the other MK Ultras, to test the effects of radiation and using the brain as a weapon to see how it affects people. To take, like Robert Duncan would say, to take away some of the emotions, just barely have your sense of self, your lack of emotions, where you're able to feel your emotions, strongly. They literally put an electronic, what are the words of biometric, telemetry, stimo receiver. I don't know. There's different words for these things, but it's just an electrical charge that when you try to feel your emotions, the charge makes it to where you don't feel emotions in that side of your body. And that includes this area where you normally feel strong emotions, anger, pride, happy, joy. And it pulls it down, your emotions. It pulls it down to where you feel sadness and depression. And it's not something up here type of depression. It's something that makes you can't feel your emotions very strongly, and it pulls it down. And on purpose to make you, it's like gain of function, knowing it's going to be dangerous, knowing it's not going to be good for people, it's going to be bad and dangerous. But they did it anyway and then made billions off of doing it. And this is Christian America. They can talk about, but it's still a religious country. But they just love their money and greed. And if it means doing this to children, they're more than happy to. Even if they're anti-abortionists, if they can get money and they feel that nobody will find out about it because the person will be dead because of radiation or suicide or something, then the people in your hometown are going along with it. And even with the neighbors. And they're still going along with it, knowing that And finally, about the third or fourth time, I went to the newspaper in Dallas about 3 or 4 times. And by the third or fourth time making a complaint, and then they called me, the guy, the deputy or whoever, was saying, well, it's a federal program. We can't, what can I do? Like, it's a federal program. So at least he was honest enough, even though at that time I already knew what it was. But it was nice to hear them admit, what I already knew. It wasn't like I'm waiting, well, I hope it is. I hope that's what it is. Like, I already know what it is. No doubt. And if you don't believe, look at the White House 2011 and 2012 bioethics. It's on my YouTube, Alan Brewer Nielsen, 2011 and 2012, the White House bioethics. And there's a panel of 10 or 12 people. One of them is Dr. Christine Grady, and that's Anthony Fauci's wife. She doesn't go by Fauci. But it's listening to people complain about being used as an experiment. The same thing, voice to skull, getting hit with these jabs. And this is a couple years before Havana syndrome. And getting hit with these jabs, these microwave pulse. I mean, this was on the news every night with Kamala Harris's Secret Service, some of the Secret Service himself, some of the CIA people in Washington, in Russia, in China, in Vietnam. It was on the news every night. Olivia Troy from Mike Pence's staff. I think a Dylan, something, guy with nice hair. I forgot his name, but yeah, this is to see, part of the Neuralink. Hooking people up and literally to have their sense of self and to dumb people down. It literally not only takes your emotions out, it dumbs you down. And in my case, what they did, I was studying for the ministry, is makes you think about religion all the time. And it's literally like putting an influence to a thought in your head all the time. And the emotions, there isn't much of a fluctuation. And I've been reliable, but I always wanted to get help and healed so I can feel my emotions. And it's literally like the people in your town went without your knowledge, without your permission, and did this to you on purpose. I didn't have any enemies. It's just pure greed. And now that I'm alive and I found out about it, it's too embarrassing for them, even though they know that I know. And they made up, there's even these TI sites, Target Individuals, Targeted Justice, PAX International. The feds crashed the place a lot. In fact, there isn't a huge growth of TIs. I think it's been more of a negative. Anyway, I come from a very conservative Christian town that even has weekday school of the Bible in our grade schools, our secular grade schools. And it's weird that they would go and be part of this. You hear them all the time. It's like, because I can't fluctuate much emotion because of this electronic thing that literally stops it. I could have the best news or the worst news, and there isn't much of a fluctuation, or they can try to surprise me, shocks and little firecracker sounds. There isn't much of and it's just like, oh, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care enough. Even that's all I'm thinking about is this program, the TI program, Target Individual. And I have written the senators. I have been to the newspapers 3 or 4 times, emails, the Salem paper. Went up to the district attorneys in Salem and left message, it's like the lawyers, the chief lawyers, and nobody seems interested. My doctor yesterday, nobody seems interested. So anyway, look at some of these books that I was telling you about, and it's really this program and Tesla, Neuralink. So, and I'm trying to keep, at least I spent 30 years praying, hoping, and at least finally I found out what it is. So thank the Lord for that. And I believe in the soul, so the spirit. So free will shows there's a soul. It's a ghost in the machine. Anyway, I went off topic. My mom's home, so I'm going to go say hi to her, bring her in.